And why is that dog pretty?
Because he's white and he has 2 eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black. Because he's black.
Thank you and welcome to my channel, Simply Your World, where we discuss past and present events that will affect you if they haven't already. I have a question for you all. What possibly could a child that cannot be no more than 6 years old been subjected to that allows themselves to look at themselves so objectively? Today we are going to analyze the Clark doll experiment. It was conducted in 1947 by Kenneth and Mamie Clark, and the reason it was conducted was to see the psychological effects of segregation on kids in the Jim Crow South. This was a monumental case that helped end segregation. I'm going to let this video play, then I'm going to come back with my commentary and the reason why I feel this study, amongst others, is the reason why the question, why can't black people seem to get along with each other, exists. By the way, this question alone is a very, very destructive element in our culture, but let's get into it.
The black doll? And which one is the white doll?
That one.
Which doll is the pretty doll? Which doll is the nice doll? Which doll is the bad doll? Which doll is the nice doll? And which doll is the bad doll? And why is that doll pretty?
Because he's white and he has 2 eyes.
Which doll is the ugly doll? Why is that doll ugly?
Because he's black.
Which doll looks most like you?
Like me.
Yeah, which one looks like you?
And that one.
Okay.
That doll.
Just from the look in their eyes, you can tell that they could feel something was wrong. They may not have been able to articulate what they were feeling, but they definitely felt the impact of what was happening. Earlier, I posed a question. What could a child have been subjected to that allows themselves to look at themselves so objectively? I want to demonstrate how something as simple as a cartoon has multiple psychological studies layered together, coupled with child psychology, forms a type of opinion in a child's mind through sounds and visual stimulus. And as you evolve from one form of entertainment to the next, the same psychological efforts are implemented, only varying in degrees. Before we go any further, we must understand the differences between entertainment and amusement. A lot of people like to use these two words interchangeably, which sometimes they can be, but I'm going to show you the difference, or the glaring difference, between the two. Entertainment is what it is. It is someone dancing, singing, or something that is holding your attention. But amusement is when you are detached from your natural thought, or being deceived. To muse, to M-U-S-E, means to think or to meditate deeply. So entertainment is the conduit used to amuse. So when it detaches you from your natural thought, anything that was inside of that entertainment, whatever subliminal message may have been inside of that entertainment, it gets inside of your mind. When you start to muse again or start to think again, it has got its way into your mind, and then it turns into what's called a invasive species, so to speak. When I was growing up, He-Man was one of my favorite cartoons. So I'm going to use it as an example to show you how multiple psychological studies can be layered together to create entertainment that can form objective thoughts in a child's mind. I want you all to take a good look at this image because we're going to revisit it in a moment. In my opinion, the Clark doll experiment, or the baby doll experiment, what it is sometimes referred to, only shows the effects of these 3 men's psychological and physiological efforts. This is John B. Watson, and he is infamous for the Little Albert experiment. His experiments show that fear response can be instilled in a person through sound. This is Albert Bandura, and he is infamous for the Bobo doll experiment. His experiment demonstrated that aggression can be a learned response through visual stimulus. This is Ivan Pavlov. He is infamous for his experiment on dogs and how he got them to salivate by anticipating food through sound. Today I'm going to show you how psychology can be layered to create a toxic environment for a child or anyone who immerses themselves in certain types of entertainment outside of reading or meditation with the attempts on getting more in tune with themselves. I would like to point out that just between these three men alone, it is over 92 years, or around 92 years of psychological and physiological efforts, studies that have had time to be reinforced and placed over society. And with psychology being the study of the mind, there's multiple ways you can use its information and different avenues you can use its information in to shape someone else's thoughts and to shape a whole society. Earlier I posed a question: what could a child possibly been subjected to that allows themselves to look at themselves so objectively? This is the reason why we must understand the differences between physiology and the science of behaviorism. Physiology is not psychology. It is the branch of biology that aims to understand the mechanisms of living things, from the basis of a cell function at the ionic and molecular level to the integrated behavior of the whole body and the influence of the external environment. Basically, how your body responds to sight, smells, and sounds and things like that. This is very important simply because the way those children responded to that doll potentially has been ingrained in them all the way down to a molecular level. Behaviorism, or behavioral psychology, is the theory that human and animal behavior can be explained in terms of conditioning without appeal to thoughts or feelings. This is saying that if someone is subjected to the same stimuluses in their environment that causes a certain action, that action will become a learned response, even if it is harmful to them or others. I would like for you all to keep in mind the reasoning of a child as we go over this. In this section, the first psychological study I want to highlight is the Bobo doll experiment, and that is learned aggression towards certain figures through visual stimulus. I'll let you know right now, when I had these toys as a kid, none of Skeletor or none of his minions ever won a battle. Just like on the cartoon, I emulated that exact same motion towards the dark figure. At that time, he was just the bad guy. But now looking back, it is the dark figure versus the light figure. Now you can see why those kids, just through that study alone, would associate the dark doll or the black doll with being mean, ugly, evil, aggressive, and the white doll as being the savior, the angel, the whatever you want to call it, to mean the good guy. So that is the first one I want to highlight. And with the reasoning of a child, like I said, you can just see how looking at a dark figure and a light figure would make a child think that way. And most cartoons are set up with that same little element into it. So next, I want to highlight Watson's Little Albert experiment and the fear response through sound. Anytime you heard the music or anything that implicated that Skeletor or any of his friends were coming on the scene, you instantly anticipated something bad to happen. Without the sight of him at all, or her, or whoever was on his team at that time, or they were slotted to come in and, they were slotted for that episode. Anytime you heard the music or a laugh, you automatically associated something bad to happen. So that goes to show you another layer of how all these studies are actually implicated or implemented to create entertainment for me, you, and our children. And as those children demonstrated, it doesn't take long for a repetitious subliminal message to become ingrained into your psyche. Now, I hope you all can see why the question, why can't black people seem to get along, exists. This comes from years and years and years of psychological reinforcement on studies that have been implemented on society through sociological efforts. You all have a good night.